In woodworking, there are two paths. The path of good enough and the path of correct. Good enough is fast. It gets the job done. Correct is slow. It's obsessive, it's the pursuit of a perfect, seamless line. The tool you choose determines which path you're on.
This is the heart of the workshop. The compound miter saw. It's fast, it's versatile, and for 99% of the cuts you need to make, it's the only tool for the job. "99%? That's a statistically ambitious claim. I would argue that for 99% of furniture cuts, this machine is a liability. Okay, here we go. Today, the professor and I are going to settle this. Miter saw versus table saw. He thinks I am wrong. I think he needs to get out of the textbook and into the real world. Let the fight begin. Argument number one. The crosscut. I need a perfect 90. I lock the saw. I make the cut. Done. Looks pretty good to me. Professor, what's the problem?
The problem is what you can't see. Bring that piece over here. Look, a hairline gap right here. Light bleed. That's a deflection. A miter saw is a heavy motor hanging off a pendulum. When the blade hits the wood, the entire assembly twists a fraction of a degree.
It's a thousandth of an inch. Who cares?
You do. When you glue up a box and that tiny error multiplies across 4 corners. Now try it on the table saw. Here the blade is fixed, the wood moves, zero deflection. That's furniture grade. Alright, builder, let's move to the next test. You need to crosscut this 40 cm wide melamine panel for a cabinet side.
Okay, so it doesn't reach. What's your point? I'll just flip it over and cut from the other side. It's close enough. A little sanding will fix that.
No, that's a fundamental failure of the tool. A miter saw has a hard physical limit. You are forced to perform an inaccurate 2-part cut that is never truly straight. Now try it on the sliding table. The sliding table has a crosscut capacity of 60 centimeters. You can cut your panel in a single, perfectly straight pass. The capacity is virtually unlimited. It's a system designed for large panels.
Okay, that's 1 point for the fancy European engineering, but let's be realistic, Professor. Most people watching this don't have a $5,000 sliding table saw.
And they do not need one. The principle is what matters, not the machine. The principle is the blade must be fixed and the wood must be supported through the entire cut. You just build a simple support table, set it to the exact height as your saw. You build a larger crosscut sled that rides on it. With this setup, the crosscut capacity is no longer limited by your saw's cast iron top. You can achieve 60 centimeters, 80 centimeters, even a meter of crosscut capacity for the price of a sheet of plywood.
So what you're saying is, if you are planning a shop from scratch, save up for a slider. It's faster.
Correct. But if you already own a cabinet saw, don't sell it. Upgrade it. Build a high-quality, large format sled and a support table. You will have 95% of the functionality of a sliding table saw for 5% of the cost.
So either way, the miter still loses.
The geometry is relentless.
Okay, fine, but what about the miters? This thing was born to cut miters. I set the angle to 45, lock it in, cut one, flip it, cut the other. Boom! A perfect corner. The miter saw is faster. Period.
It's faster at creating a gap. The deflection is worse at 45. The angled blade pushes against the wood with more lateral force. Your corner looks good, but it will require clamping pressure and filler. On the sliding table, you set the fence to 45. It's a fixed geometric truth.
Show off. Hang on. The professor is losing you with all the geometry. Quick reality check. If you're enjoying this little debate, and if you are learning why the miters have gaps, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below. It's the only way to find out who is best, me or the smart guy.
I can hear you.
Let me know which team you're on. Team builder or team professor. We need to settle this. Okay, back to the science fair. Let's talk about the real world. I need to trim this tiny piece for a jewelry box. Oh. Okay, maybe not on this.
Precisely. On a miter saw, small offcuts are unsupported. The blade can grab them and turn them into high-velocity projectiles aimed at your face. It's fundamentally unsafe.
But on a sled, I can use a stop, block, and clamps. My hands are miles away. Okay, fine. Point to the professor. But it's still more setup.
Is 10 seconds of setup worth more than a trip to the emergency room?
All right. The final boss. An almost 3-meter longboard. it's too long for your fancy slider, and it's too heavy to safely balance. What now?
Well, this is where we must be honest about the limitations of both stationary tools. For a board at this scale, neither is a good tool.
Exactly! The track saw! I can put this board on the floor. The saw comes to the wood. I use it to break down the long boards into manageable lengths.
And once it is a manageable length,
then it comes back right here. Because for the final money cut, I still need precision.
so we are in agreement. The miter saw is redundant into a professional workflow. The process is track saw for rough length, sliding table saw for final dimension.
I hate it when you're right. Look, the reason we are even having this debate is because of this. The 3-meter walnut dining table. For a project this massive, good enough isn't an option. Every single cut needs to be perfect. That's why the professor is winning the argument today. The miter saw stays for the rough work, but for the money cuts, it all happens at the table saw. That video is going to be a full documentary, so stay tuned. So, I guess you were right.
I usually am. It's the geometry.
Whatever. Let me know in the comments below which side are you on. Team Builder or Team Professor. See you in the next one.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Now try it on the table. Now try it. Now try it on the sliding table. The sliding table has a crosscut capacity. The sliding table, again. Build a simple support table. Set the exact same height as your saw. Again.
Let's be realistic here. Most people watching here don't have.
Again. Now try it on the table.